I'm sure you have seen this headline. Dangote accuses IOCs of plotting failure of its refinery. Now, Dangote is referring to international oil companies in Nigeria. And I'm going to give you highlights of Dangote's statement. You're right all this while. The reason why the local refineries in Nigeria are not functioning. Now, Dangote is crying out because you don't expect a man who has spent billions of dollars building a refinery in Nigeria to keep quiet when things are going bad. Now, the same thing that Nigerians have been saying is what Dangote is spilling out right now. First, Dangote said every time he goes to the local or international oil companies to buy crude, they're always raising the price of the crude high above market price just so that he's unable to buy. Now, it's either they're raising the price above market price or they just tell him straight up that the crude is not available. Dangote is accusing them of not wanting any local refineries to function so that they can keep exporting the crude to their home countries to boost their country's economy and create jobs in their country, only to bring back refined products, expensive refined products, dumping them in Nigeria and making Nigeria spend more. That is what Dangote is accusing the international oil companies in Nigeria of. Now, the same thing that you have been saying all these years. Now, what will Nigeria do about it? Don't forget that NNPC is part of this play. Dangote is also accusing the Nigerian government of helping them by issuing import licenses. Yeah, he's accusing the Nigerian government of helping the international oil companies to carry out their goals by issuing import licenses. Now you now understand why the Port Harcourt refinery is not functioning and why no refinery in Nigeria is going to function with such sabotage. This is serious sabotage, and Dangote is accusing international oil companies in Nigeria of sabotage. Now, how will the Nigerian government fix this? Now, the biggest question you would ask is, where is the Nigerian share of this crude? Where? Because the international oil companies in Nigeria have licenses to drill crude, right? Nigeria have their own share of the crude. Now, where is the Nigerian share of the crude? Because Dangote would have been able to assess that one. So where is it? Why would Dangote now depend on the international oil companies in Nigeria to buy crude if Nigeria has her own portion of crude that Dangote can buy from? And why would international oil companies in Nigeria make it difficult for a local refinery to access crude? What kind of policies in their petroleum act are they working with? Because yes, they have a petroleum act. So what are they working with? This government have a lot to do to prove themselves. Like, this government have a lot now to do with what Dangote have said. This government have a lot to do to prove themselves. I'm still going to read the statement to you. The federal government has issued 25 licenses to build refineries, and we are the only one that has delivered on promise. In effect, we deserve every support from the government. It is good to note that from the start of production, more than 3.5 billion liters, which represents 90% of our production, have been exported. We are calling on federal government and regulators to give us necessary support in order to create jobs and prosperity for the nation. While the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission is trying its best to allocate the crude for us, the IOCs are deliberately and willfully frustrating our efforts to buy local crude. It will be recalled that the NUPRC recently met with crude oil producers as well as refinery owners in Nigeria in a bid to ensure full adherence to domestic crude oil supply obligations, as indicated under Section 1092 of the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA. It seems the IOC's objective is to ensure that our petroleum refinery fails. It is either they are deliberately asking for ridiculous and humorous premium, or they simply state that crude is not available. At some point, we paid $6 over and above the market price. This has forced us to reduce our output as well as import crude from countries as far as the US, increasing our cost of production. It appears that the objective of the IOCs is to ensure that Nigeria remains a country which exports crude oil and imports refined petroleum products. The IOCs are keen on exporting the raw materials to their home countries, creating employment and wealth for their countries, adding to their GDP, and dumping the expensive refined products into Nigeria, thus making us to be dependent on imported products. It is the same strategy the multinationals have been adopting in every commodity, making Nigeria and sub-Saharan Africa to be facing unemployment and poverty while they create wealth for themselves at our expense. This is exploitation, pure and simple. Unfortunately, the country is still also playing into their hands by continuing to issue import licenses at the expense of our economy and at the cost of the health of Nigerians who are exposed to carcinogenic products. In spite of the fact that we are producing and bringing out diesel into the market, complying with ECOWAS regulations and standard licenses are being issued in large quantities to traders who are buying the extremely high sulfur diesel from Russia and dumping it in the Nigerian market. Since the US, EU, and UK imposed a price cap scheme from February 5, 2023 on Russian petroleum products, a large number of vessels are waiting near Togo with Russian ultra-high sulfur diesel, and they are being purchased and dumped into the Nigerian market.